This is the Bull King armor, and it's currently the hardest to get set in Black Myth Wukong, not because the boss that unlocks it is particularly challenging, but because Game Science likely forgot a couple of encounters, meaning that you need to finish the game twice to be able to craft the entire armor set. That's why today we're going to take a look at the super secret zone in Chapter 5 that gives you access to this, a bunch of awesome loot, as well as some of the best endgame materials to craft the best gear possible. Also, huge spoilers alert ahead as we are going to talk about a super endgame zone, so proceed at your own caution. Now, to unlock access to the secret level as well as the armor, we need to progress through the Pale Axe Stalwart questline in Chapter 5, which we're going to meet right here initially as a mini-boss that we have to defeat. Once you take out 3/4 of its HP, he's going to reveal to be an ally, and he's going to ask you to find and destroy 5 element cards within the region. And luckily, the first one is very close to him, so pretty much if you go up the set of stairs, you're going to see a longer corridor, and at the end of it, there's going to be the brown iron card. Now, initially, it starts with some flame-throwing attacks, so be careful, just avoid the wave of fire and then move in. From here, I suggest standing to the side of it, as that's going to avoid 99% of its damage, and the only thing you have to worry about is his jump attack. But once you take it down, you're pretty much free to go, as this opens up the area ahead and pretty much finishes the first part of the quest. You can also go ahead and rest at the Seeker Shrine, and if you go back at the same area you found the Pale Axe Stalwart, you will now see him at the edge of this cliff. So go ahead, talk to him, and exhaust all the dialogue options. This is what's going to make him move to the next location. Now, in the meantime, you're just going to want to progress the normal way through the story in the mountains over here and just go from boss to boss. Eventually, you're going to make your way to the Ashen Pass number 2 by going through this narrow passageway right here, where you will encounter the second of the 5 elements card called the Grey Bronze card. This is yet again going to be stuck because it doesn't have any room to move, and what you can do is just go over there to the side of it as much as you can and take it down using the same strategy as before. However, it's going to do a Dragon Breath at some point, but you can use one of these small little gaps onto the left side behind you to take advantage of the cover. But just rinse and repeat, take it down, and you're pretty much down with the second one. Now, for the third one, you're going to need to head over to the Furnace Valley entrance waypoint and just progress through the narrow path right here. You can also avoid any enemies, but once you reach the end, there's going to be this junction, and you're going to want to take the right side through this lava all the way to the cave in the back. And here is where you're going to encounter the third elemental card. However, you're going to notice that this is non-combative and it's also interactable. And that's because this is going to contain Matiamba inside, which is basically another NPC, that horse NPC that you likely saw within the previous chapters. Now, I'm not 100% sure that you have to complete his questline as well and need to have met him every single chapter before, because I only met him in chapter 1, 2, and 3, but skipped him in chapter 4, and I was still able to trigger this questline no matter what. Also, I'm hearing conflicting opinions about being able to also unlock the Dark Thunder from him by just interacting with the whip and trying to pull on it multiple times. Personally, I was able to pull it out on my first try by, just finishing the main boss of Chapter 5 and then coming back to this area, which, also gave me the Dark Thunder. But no matter if you managed to retrieve the Dark Thunder or not, as long as you interacted with the card once, it should still count and you can proceed further. And that's going to be all the way to the Emerald Hall, which is still in the Furnace Valley. There's going to be a main story boss over here that you first have to defeat. And once you're done, you will now gain access to the upper slope area. And this is the one that you will now have to follow. You're going to have to go up the slope, circle around, and go to the right up until you reach the top, or almost like halfway through the top, where you will encounter the fourth 5-element card, which is the Crimson Silver card. And this is going to have a lot more room to move. It's a lot more dangerous. It can also one-shot you pretty much, especially if you stay too much in the back. So absolutely be careful. Come here with some damage resist, especially that Fire Elemental legendary cloak that you got in Chapter 1, which is going to make it a lot easier. Also, you can use the Frost Bat to keep it in place, and even more so use Immobilize. But from here, we're going to need to go and rest at a waypoint. So either go and progress through the field of fire up ahead and go to Ashen Pass 3 and do that, or track back at Furnace Valley and rest at the Emerald Hall, and then make your way in the same arena where you fought the Crimson Silver card. As now you will notice that the Stalwart just spawned right here next to the wall, so you can go ahead and again exhaust all the dialogues. This is going to make him move to his final spot. And that's going to be in a place called the Cooling Slope. However, initially the path is blocked by an inaccessible fire, so that is why you need to pretty much finish the final boss of chapter 5 so that a particular NPC uses a fan to extinguish all the flames within here and unlock access to this area. So for that, once you have completed all of that, you can come back and access this from two sides, either from the Fallen Furnace Crater, which is one of the final areas, but I'm going to show you how to reach it from earlier from the Ashen Pass number 2. So once you defeated that boss here and reached the Ashen Pass 2 waypoint, what you can do is just follow through this cave right here and go to the other side. From here, instead of taking the path downward as you did previously when you went to the Furnace Valley and the Emerald Hall, you're instead going to take the path up the mountain, as you will now notice that the fire has been extinguished, giving you access to the path at the top where you will encounter this giant frozen gate, as well as the 5th and final rusty gold cart. And of course, Stalwart, who's getting absolutely destroyed by the cart itself. But the boss encounter is going to be more difficult than the other carts. However, it's not the most difficult in the game. So again, apply the same strategy as before, take it down, and you're almost good to go. You will also gain a flame orb accessory, which is going to give you a slight burn resistance to help you with the area ahead. But once you interact with the Stalwart for the final time, this is going to play a cutscene, and now you can interact and destroy the ice gate, bringing you into the Bishui cave. And from this point on, you're now free to go inside. You're going to get close to this pillar right here, and this is the one that actually sends you inside the real Bishui cave, where you will encounter a whole bunch of enemies as well as that secret area. And it's not really too complicated. There are some summons in there that you can get, but if you just follow some of these slides, eventually you're going to reach your first boss encounter. So that's going to be against bottom takes top and top takes bottom, which is this duo boss that have some really annoying shields, but overall they aren't too dangerous and you can always use immobilize. It seems to work really well against them, as well as frost effects absolutely destroy them. Now they don't really give much, but you do get a gold, tree core, and a bunch of other mats that you can use to craft mythical gear. This now also opens up the passage ahead so that you can progress further down into the cave and eventually reach the final boss. And that's going to be by accessing this bigger slide right here, which is going to bring you all the way at the bottom. Also make sure along the way that you unlock any chest that you see. You will gain additional gold tree cores. You will also gain some of these very important celestial ribbons, which you need for the mythical armor. So absolutely just try to scour for everything. But once you do get at the bottom, this is where you will unlock another important waypoint, as well as the fight against Bishui Golden Eye Beast. Again, fire resist is going to be absolutely paramount over here. You are going to have a lot of fire area of effect damage from it. Plus, it tends to be quite nimble for how big it is. So absolutely bring your A game and use as much perfect blocks, dodges, and immobilizes as you can. Once you do finish that boss encounter, you're going to get a bunch of things. One of them is going to be the Bishui Beast Bit, which you're going to need for one of these weapons right here, as well as these Bull King Iron Horns times 3. So let me talk a bit about these. Once you get the Bishui Beast, you can go ahead and also craft the Beast Staff, which comes with a 10% critical hit chance and 105 attack, and no other bonus benefit at all. So that attack is not the greatest, but it is going to be the highest critical chances. So take it if you want to. Personally, I skipped it because I didn't think it was worthwhile. This also unlocks, of course, access to crafting the Bull King armor, and you will also gain a bunch of the items, specifically only 3 of the Bull King's Iron Horn, which means you can only craft at max 2 pieces of the set right now. Now, technically, there is a 4th piece that you get in the playthrough. So that's going to be from this chest right here in the Cave Depths waypoint in the same Bishui cave. Right here going down, you're going to see there's a chest in the middle of the circle to your left side. Opening this up is going to give you a 4th one. However, that still means that we're likely going to be left with 2 more pieces that need to be crafting, and unfortunately, I don't think they can be acquired in the current playthrough, at least not that I know of. These are the max that I got, and we need a 6 in total, so we are still missing 2 of the pieces. So this means that we either have to play New Game Plus, either there are some missing chests, or maybe Game Science forgot to add the final 2 boss encounters in the same secret area. I'm saying that because there's going to be a passage that opens up after that boss encounter, which is going to lead further down the cave, and there are 2 big massive areas that appear to be boss zones, but nothing happens in them. So either there's a secret trigger or they just weren't implemented yet, but I imagine if there's any future patch or anything, this is where we're gonna get to find them. There's also Bao Lang Lang just outside of the arena. You can go ahead at the same pillar that brought you inside the Bishui cave, and if you go to the side of it from the opposite end of where you just came from, you're going to see that fiery frog boss over there. Now, it's not going to be that difficult at this stage, plus it doesn't seem to drop anything but a bunch of epic materials and some tadpoles, but it is a nice way to just take it down and finish that part of, well, just your quest line. But like I said in yesterday's video, this is literally like top 3, maybe even top 2 best armors in the game. Obviously, because it's so difficult and so cool looking, you're pretty much going to look like one of these bulls with the horns over there. Looks really awesome, very demonic. Also, the 2 set piece, upon taking damage, it's going to grant you moderate defense, about 100. And then the 4 set piece disables perfect dodges, but grants tenacity when health is at under half. Plus, of course, the skull/mask is going to grant moderate focus upon taking damage. If the destined one is staggered, grants even more focus. So yes, perfect dodges are disabled, but it doesn't really matter because you're still going to just move in uninterrupted. You're going to be able to attack through 99.9% of any boss attack. Nothing will flinch you. You're still going to gain that damage, but you're going to be more than able to just face tank it. This has by far the highest defense of any other armor in the game, by at least like 30-40% more per each individual piece, plus the defense that you get from the 2 set bonus. So you also gain that huge amount of focus. This means you gain much faster focus than any other armor because you're both taking damage as you're doing hits, but you're also doing hits, charging up that focus even more. So you can actually heal a lot more often compared to most other armor sets, which is why I believe this is definitely top 2 out there. It's just missing a bunch of stamina, mana, and all of that. Anyway, that is about it. Let me know down below, have you discovered the 2 remaining of the 6 pieces needed to craft this in the first chapter, or are you planning to also go and finish the game a second time in New Game Plus? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Also, if you enjoyed this video up until now, a sub to the channel would be amazing.